All right, so you've killed God, or at least like Dragon God. Well, now it's time to kill Satan. And once you've done that, there's a whole bunch of really cool stuff waiting for you. What's up, guys? My name is Braxaphone, and I usually make a lot of guides and stuff, but this is very time-sensitive content because I want to tell you guys all about the new sigils that just dropped and how they are absolutely incredible for your account. Now, if you logged in and you've already killed Lucilius, you've probably already seen these sigils, but I'm gonna tell you why they are so game-breaking. And if you haven't beaten Lucilius, I'll go ahead and show you exactly what they do. So first off, if you go into Ciro's shop, you go to Treasure Trade, over to Sigils, you can see 3 brand new sigils here. Those are gonna be your Alpha Plus, Beta Plus, and Gamma Plus. And honestly, the colors are a little bit jarring, but they are gorgeous. You can see they take Tears of the Apocalypse and Dark Residue, which are both gonna come from the Lucilius boss fight. And after you kill him a few times, you should be able to grab one. Sometimes he can drop 3 of the Tears of the Apocalypse, sometimes he drops 1, sometimes he drops 0. However, we can still look at the sigils, and that's what I'm excited about. So the first thing you'll notice is that all 3 of these sigils have damage cap on the secondary stat. Now, all 3 of these having damage cap is actually massive for your characters because what that means is that effectively Alpha, Beta, and Gamma can also be treated as a secondary stat, and these can just replace your damage cap sigils, whichever ones you end up going with. However, there is a bit of a downside to this, which is that you would never run more than 4 of these at any given time, because once you have them completely maxed out, the damage cap is gonna be at 15, and if you have 4 of them, you're gonna hit your max damage cap easily. So that means you do have to pick carefully based on your character, and some characters are actually gonna take different stats, and some characters might not even take all of these. Due to some of the patch notes and some of the changes that were announced with this version, characters will be unlocking brand new playstyles, and that's what these sigils are going to help promote. Now, first off, Alpha boosts the damage cap of normal attacks. You're gonna be able to get this up to level 15 by itself, and it's gonna increase your normal attack damage cap by 25%, which is a really big amount. To give you a reference, when you have damage cap at level 15, you're getting 45% damage cap, which is gonna be more. However, this is extra damage cap on top of your other damage cap. And if you scroll down, you'll actually notice at level 30, you get an extra effect. That extra effect is gonna add 30% more SPA gauge to all of your allies whenever you activate your SPA. This means that you actually can give 40% SPA gauge to your allies whenever you use it, and if everyone in your group is running it, there is gonna be no issues getting up your SBA. It's gonna make it very easy to loop SBA as well, doing solo Skybound arts, and it just looks absolutely insane. I can see this one being very, very powerful for boss fights and sort of ignoring mechanics, and I also anticipate that a lot of characters are really gonna want this one maxed out. It also now makes sense why Fairy was nerfed, so. The next sigil is Beta. The trait details of Beta are as follows. Skill damage cap up, and at level 15, which is one of these sigils equipped and maxed out, 35% more skill damage cap. Now, some characters don't actually even need this. There's gonna be some characters that struggle to reach their skill damage cap on most of their skills, and that's fine. That means that you're gonna wanna build them with something else. But for the characters that are at skill damage cap and actually want to spam their skills very, very frequently, Beta is gonna be massively helpful to them. Scrolling down, looking at the level 31, it also has a bonus effect that's gonna shorten skill cooldowns by 10% upon activating your SBA. Now, I do think of the 3 of the sigils, this is probably the weakest one, since based on the wording of it, it only seems to actually apply when you activate your SBA specifically. Now, if that's not the case, I'll pin a comment, but I have not been able to get all of the sigils to test every single one, and this is one of the ones that I haven't been able to personally test. Skill damage cap up by 50% is going to be absolutely massive for some characters, and I could see this being very, very valuable. And the last one is going to be your Gamma. Now, Gamma's effect is going to be damage cap in general. At level 15, 15% damage cap over your entire kit. Now, the benefit of this one is that for characters that get a lot of damage from their skills and their normal attacks and their SBA, the damage cap across the board may actually be more beneficial. Now, like I said, you can run 4 of these because they all have damage cap on them. Once you get this thing up to level 30, you get 30% damage cap across the board, and you gain a shield that nullifies up to 50,000 damage upon activating your SBA. And I'm gonna keep it 100% honest. I believe the reason that this one is all damage cap is because the level 30 effect is not as good as some of the other options. This one does have a place in some content that will allow you to greed more DPS, and I think that's one thing that a lot of people are going to overlook, is that having a 50,000 damage shield allows you to just stand there and DPS a boss down without taking damage. So that could actually be very valuable, but just the fact that it's tied to your SBA makes it really tough, and 50,000 damage can be dealt in literally 1 hit without mitigation. So yeah, it's tough to say. This one could be situationally good, and it could save you a little bit of grief. It's effectively like running another couple potions, where you just don't have to worry about a certain amount of damage dealt. So overall, it's not a bad effect, but it's not the best effect. In my opinion, the Alpha effect is the best by far when it comes to the level 30 effect, but like I said, which characters are going to use normal attack damage, skill damage, and just overall damage cap is going to vary. One example of some pickiness with builds would be the skill damage cap one. Catalina can barely ever hit her damage cap on Enchanted Lands. Enchanted Lands Lands is going to be her strongest ability and dishes out a ton of damage. And so running skill damage cap on her, I can't say definitively if it would be bad because I haven't personally run the math, but I do know that Enchanted Lands doesn't really need more skill damage cap because you're already struggling to reach it. So its value does diminish a little bit there. The other thing with Catalina is that she can usually run one utility like a freeze and then also run Azure Sword, which is not a super high damaging ability. It just sends out Ares. So in general, this one may not be as good on Catalina. Now, with that said, I don't want you to take any of that with 100% seriousness because it is impossible to tell exactly what's best right now without testing and without the math behind it. But overall, these sigils look insanely good and I cannot wait to unlock them all and start building characters. Unfortunately, though, my Catalina guide now needs to be reworked. That and all the patch notes, which I'll talk about later. Now, new sigils makes the question arise. Which sigils can you actually give up? Some characters have a lot of trouble giving up certain sigil spots because certain sigils end up being incredibly valuable for them. And you might have the question, which sigils are we replacing? Well, it's actually really simple because like I said, they have damage cap as their secondary stat. The downside of this is that if you have something like Cascade, Potion Hoarder, Steel Nerves, Garrison, whatever your supporting skills may be, Auto Revive, whatever it may be, you are gonna lose those. So in exchange for damage, you're gonna lose some utilities most likely, and that could be tough on your character. Also, don't judge this build too much. I'm experimenting for Lucilius. It is possible that some characters won't end up using them at all, but I think it's highly unlikely because most characters have found a way to hit their damage cap, and if they haven't found a way to hit their damage cap because they were doing some kind of other niche, that niche got nerfed to the ground. I'm sorry, Fairy. It's over for you. Now, honestly, all in all, it just means that characters are being less cheeky, which I think is better for the boss design of the game. But all in all, these sigils look really insanely good, and they're definitely worth grinding out for you. No replacing the Terminus weapons just yet, but you will be increasing your overall damage. If you guys have any questions about builds, or if you want to learn more about how to build your characters and which ones your characters actually want to use, you can join my Discord and pick up the Granblue role. I'm trying to get more active people in there, so that way we can talk more about builds and stuff, and then more chats, and have kind of a nice community that's focused around Granblue. Have fun farming Lucilius, guys. I'll make sure to put out a guide on how to beat him really easily, really soon. And I'll catch you all next time.